The job that we're running today is actually a high detail print. It's a hybrid with puff and glow in the dark ink on it. And then the puff has really fine lines between it, which is somewhat difficult to do. So we decided to take on a challenging print.
If you've been in a screen print shop before, you know that the presses can spin pretty fast. It's the whole front end process that takes the time.
With our production software, we're actually able to translate exactly how we want it to be printed. We're trying to eliminate any questions, any unnecessary communication between front and back end.
So we have all the pertinent information for the order that everyone needs in every department as it goes through our system. So if all that is organized from the beginning, the order will process as fast as anybody possibly could do it.
We're wrapping up season 3 of JERZEES Adventures in Apparel Decorating. And I'm excited to be in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, home of AxelRad Screen Printing. AxelRad Screen Printing is a full-service custom apparel shop specializing in band merchandising and state-of-the-art screen printing processes and procedures. They pride themselves in providing high-end design and fulfillment solutions to keep their shop and customers ever evolving in this fast-paced and competitive industry. In this episode, they'll showcase their process speed from inception to shipping for a quick turn replenishment program featuring a one-of-a-kind look Plastisol print with specialty puff and glow inks. Let's hurry and get inside before they have this job wrapped up. I'm with Dave Maloney, who's one of the owners here at AxelRad. So Dave, tell us how your company was founded and kind of what you guys do here.
You got it. We were started in 2003. Just an idea out of college, just making t-shirts for our friends and bands and things like that. Once we graduated, all of us got real jobs, and me and my partner, he lived an hour away from me. He did artwork. I screen printed in my mom's basement for a few years. Had a child and realized that I could make more money screen printing than I can working for a psychology company that I was doing stuff for at the time.
Where did the name AxelRad come from?
So that came just from a random word as we were thinking of something that sounded good for the clothing we're making that somebody came up with one night. We all come from a BMX skateboard background, so we figured like axles. We think it subliminally came from that, but we're not sure. This building has helped us in many ways since it's a flat layout. Streamlining production in a big loop is everything to us. We were working on 2 floors in our last building. So speeding up efficiencies and less steps was everything to us.
What type of customers do you guys serve?
So we try to work with a lot of merchandise for bands, touring bands like that. We have a big range of customers, but our focus is in that area now.
And now you've got how many employees?
We fluctuate between 28 to 32.
So what type of challenges do we have with the music touring industry?
The challenge is what happens when they run out of merchandise on the road and they're halfway across the country from us, and it needs to be replenished quickly. That's where we try to focus all of our quick turn fulfillment to them as soon as we can to save on as much shipping as we can and even possibly courier to them if needed. Everything we've ever done from the beginning comes from the help of having good employees. When we first hired our first screen printer, he's still with us today. Just taking care of them, giving them what they need, motivating them through having better equipment, better work environment, clean facility. It all kind of helps maintain and make their work environment better.
So by taking care of your people, they take care of you.
Absolutely.
So today's episode is really about process and moving the order through the shop quickly. How do you guys do that?
When we start the whole process, everything needs to be organized and streamlined from the beginning so no one's going upstream once it leaves the office. So we have all the pertinent information for the order that everyone needs in every department as it goes through our system. So if all that is organized from the beginning, the order will process as fast as anybody possibly could do it.
So there's only one way to do it, and that's the AxelRad way.
Exactly.
I'm with Tony Bevavino, who's the sales director here at AxelRad. So Tony, how long have you worked here?
Coming up on 7 years.
And what type of customers do you guys have?
We have a pretty wide-based audience. Serve our local community with mom and pop shops, a bunch of corporate clients, and then bands all over the country. From large bands to bands that are just getting started out. We print for them all.
Those type of clients, do they have any unique challenges that you're always trying to resolve?
Seems to be one of 2 things. Artwork being probably the biggest challenge, and then speed of ordering process.
The speed part is what we're really here today about for our episode. How do you guys get everything done to meet your demands of your customers?
I think the key is to kind of listen to the customer, make sure you're capturing their needs off the get-go, especially when it comes to artwork. We have a list of questions that we kind of run all the salespeople through, so we're capturing the right information about style, product, ink colors, all of that stuff. But I think from there, the ticket is to then, just get organized right off the get-go. You need to find out all your relevant information with respect to how many shirts, what type of shirts you're doing, when they're printing, when they're shipping, where they're shipping to. Once you have all that organization up front, it's really easy to kind of move through the rest of the production system. If you've been in a screen print shop before, you know that the presses can spin pretty fast. It's the whole front end process that takes the time. So our artwork process is broken down into 7 or 8 different categories based on the need of the customer. And you go through the relevant fields to tell them what the front design should look like. And here's how the attachments are labeled if you have references. Do the same thing for the back. And then we kind of give them a brief overview of who is the customer. Because if a customer comes in and they're a Harley Davidson bike rider and you make them a rainbow and butterflies picture, maybe it's not the right idea. So we try and capture that image early.
Sure. So I'm with Tyler Rice, who's the graphic designer here at AxelRad. So tell us about the design that we're going to be working on today.
So today we're going to be working on design drawn by actually one of the co-owners here, Matt. It's like a wacky drawing, which is kind of his specialty. So we're going to be using puff ink as well as glow. Typically for the puff, I kind of like to choke it slightly just to give it a little bit of room to breathe. Other than that, our glow, we just try and keep on as big of a surface area as possible, try and give it just a nice, clean, consistent pass.
So tell us how you guys set up this design so production can move faster and we can get the jobs done quicker out on the floor.
Well, with our production software, we're actually able to translate exactly how we want it to be printed. We're letting them know exactly where we want flashes, where we want rollers. So everything's laid out for the printer themselves to kind of use as a baseline. And then from there, they can tweak and make their judgments according to their professional experience.
And your art department also specifies mesh count, so the screen room already knows what frames to use.
Yes, so we have everything right down to squeegee, durometer, pressures, meshes, as well as inks and PMS.
So everything, all the thinking really is done up front, and they're just executing on the plan.
Correct. We're trying to eliminate any questions, any unnecessary communication between front and back end to make sure that the production is as smooth as possible.
When you guys are designing and you guys build a mock-up, I like the fact that we're using the call-outs for the specialty and the puff. Why do you do that?
Well, this gives us a little bit more of a communication with the printer where we're able to let them know exactly what's supposed to be puff, what's supposed to be glowing. Especially the glow, it's hard to tell on press, but these callouts kind of give it a little bit more of a, hey, if this part of the design isn't puffing, we did something wrong and that's a red flag.
So everything's right here and it allows them to move faster because they know exactly what they need to do.
Yep, and then there's also to the right, you'll see that there's a PNG thumbnail there. They can see the design. And then we have a notes process here. If there's anything that there is to be addressed, in this case, the puff or anything like that, we would kind of leave a note saying, hey, when you get a test print, raise your hand, flag a designer down, we'll take a look.
Right, and you could also put in the notes, this print's 4 inches down from the collar or any stuff like that, and that way everybody knows what to do.
Yes, and when we have reorders and stuff like that, we're making sure that all of that is necessary, pushing it to a master design and locking it so that the consistency stays there from now until hopefully forever. One good tip for when designing with specialty inks and using a mock-up process is to pull your layers in which get specialty ink in a call-out process to the side. This is used to communicate with the back end on what exactly is getting specialty ink so they can use it to visually compare what's on press.
I'm with Dennis Condusta, who's the production manager here at AxelRad. So Dennis, what's it like to work here?
I enjoy working here very much. I think it's a lot different than most production-based facilities, as in we have a lot of leniency with certain things, but we're very strict in certain ways. But I think it's a unique mix, and we have a unique labor force here.
You guys do a lot of stuff for bands and people who need their merch quick. Walk us through how you guys handle that.
The impulse reaction to doing that most people think of is, oh, speed the presses up, work later. But I took a different philosophy, which I think is kind of unique in the industry, is to speed up the process in other areas, not just the machine. So the first thing I start with is customer expectations. For example, just yesterday we have a band on tour doing a reorder, and they're like, we need these 6 designs, 4,000 of each, and we need them for when can you get them? And I'm like, okay, which of those shirts is most important to you? Do you need the hoodies more because you're in the colder states? How many of those do you need? How could we split it up and break it up? So first thing I manage is their expectations. They're like, well, these 2 designs are most important, so I know we'll do those first.
Right.
I go straight to receiving. I'm like, here's your numbers. These are when they're coming. We track them. So I speed up as much as we can before we get to here and then after the press. So we have everything prepped. We have the boxes prepped based on the order we know is coming. We have the labels printed, the stickers, the sizes. Everything's prepared for when the blanks actually get here. Running the job is the easiest part. And I think you've saved days in the preparation, and you could save hours or minutes on a press. You can't tell a band on tour, oh, we don't have your shirts, it's not gonna make it. They're like, well, that's our money, we need to sell that.
Yeah.
So it's really high stakes. It's an event every night, and they're a target that's moving. You don't get to miss.
In the phrase, your preparation determines your outcome, really applies here.
Yes.
Because you're doing a lot of the work before. So tell us about the job we're running today.
So the job that we're running today is actually a high detail print. It's a hybrid with puff and glow in the dark ink on it. And then the puff has really fine lines between it, which is somewhat difficult to do. So we decided to take on a challenging print.
I love that.
So one great tip I have for quick turnaround merch fulfillment is to make sure that the press operator has every single thing they need for that job that day when they come in. So having all of the inks prepared beforehand, making sure there's enough ink, having the screens organized, numbered, and labeled, so the press operator doesn't have to think about any of the organizational aspects of it, and all they have to focus on is the quality and accuracy and speed of the print.
Today we have Todd. He's going to be loading up our Jerzees piece for our sample today. We're going to be doing a double squeegee, double pass of a white underbase. It'll get kicked over to a flash for a few seconds. We use a roller to have a nice smooth print, knock down any loose fibers or anything. Gives a nice clean underbase so we can print on top of and get a nice smooth print. Right here we got our first color, 695C. We're going for a little bit of a pastel tone. So we're gonna do our next 3 colors wet on wet. It'll be followed by PMS 7464C, which is a teal, and then we'll go right into our puff. This is our first puff on a 61 mesh. A little bit more of an open mesh, giving us a nice layer of ink. The more ink that we can lay down with this specialty ink, the little bit more of a puff that we'll be able to produce. We're gonna go onto our second flash for about 5 seconds just to prep us for our next few colors and glowing. After our second flash, we go right into 422. It's our first gray color. So next is our glowing. We're doing a double squeegee, double pass on a lower mesh. We want to lay down as much as possible so we can get that vibrant glow that everyone's looking for. To our third and final flash, this is just to flash our glow to make sure that we don't want to lose any of that ink on our next pass of the black. Make sure that the glow stays nice and bright. So we're going to flash that to cure it quickly before we move on to our high detail. So on our black screen, this is more of our high detail. Puff itself is a little bit more of an intricate ink, so we're trying to make sure that we keep that high detail by using the black to define our lines. And then this would be our second puff screen. We're just doing this to make sure that it puffs super well in the dryer. Just a double pass on the same thing that we did prior.
One quick tip that we found our customers love the most is having all their information on one side of the box, including the design and the size breakdown of what's in it. This is very useful for bands that are touring, so they're organized on the road when they have all their information they need in a busy environment.
So Dave, this Jerzees Premium Blend Raglan shirt came out great. Your team rocked it.
Thank you so much. We're happy with how the product reacted with our process. Even though it was a blended t-shirt, it reacted well to multiple flashes and it worked well through the dryer. The puff came up perfect on it. It was a speedy process.
And having the information in the system properly allows your team to understand they have a glow in the dark and a puff ink and they're doing something with it, so everybody communicates what's going on so you can move faster.
Correct. If everybody's following the process that is in place, everything usually will flow through the system as fast as we need it to.
This glow in the dark ink really allows a lot of fun to be put into this design.
Absolutely. For the end user to have that element of surprise when they get this shirt at a concert and they see it glowing, makes it just that much better.
This print came out great on the Jerzees Premium Blend Raglan shirt. I'm so impressed.
Thank you so much. This is awesome.